Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, the remarkable Russian mystic who founded the Theosophical Society in 1875, brought Eastern wisdom to the Western world with unprecedented depth and clarity. Among her most profound teachings was the explanation of karma, not as a simple system of reward and punishment, but as the fundamental law that governs all existence. Blavatsky taught that karma is far more than the popular notion of what goes around comes around. It is the law of ethical causation that operates on every level of existence, from the movement of planets to the smallest thought in your mind. She explained that karma literally means action in Sanskrit, but encompasses the entire chain of cause and effect that flows through the universe like an invisible river of justice. According to Blavatsky's teachings, karma operates with mathematical precision. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every action you take sends out vibrations into the cosmic field that must eventually return to you. But this return isn't always immediate or obvious. She taught that karmic consequences can manifest in this lifetime, in future incarnations, or even across multiple planes of existence. What makes Blavatsky's understanding revolutionary is her explanation that karma isn't administered by some external judge or deity. Instead, it's a natural law as impersonal and inevitable as gravity. You are both the creator and recipient of your karmic patterns. Every experience in your life, from the family you're born into, to the challenges you face, to the opportunities that come your way, is the result of karmic forces you've set in motion. Blavatsky emphasized that understanding karma isn't about fatalism or helplessness, quite the opposite. When you truly comprehend how karma works, you realize you have immense power to shape your future. Every moment presents an opportunity to create positive karma or to neutralize negative patterns. The key is conscious awareness of this invisible law that's constantly shaping your reality. This foundational understanding opens the door to profound transformation. Once you see karma operating in your life, you can begin working with it intelligently rather than stumbling through life unconsciously, creating patterns that don't serve you. Chapter 2. The 3 types of karma affecting you right now. Blavatsky's teachings reveal that karma operates through 3 distinct categories, each affecting your life in different ways. Understanding these types is crucial for anyone seeking to master their destiny and break free from unconscious patterns that keep them stuck. The first type is prarabdha karma, the karma that's currently manifesting in your life. This is the portion of your total karmic debt that you've brought into this incarnation to experience and resolve. Blavatsky taught that you chose your current life circumstances, including your family, nationality, physical body, and major life challenges, based on what your soul needed to learn and balance. This doesn't mean you're powerless over these circumstances. While you can't change the basic parameters of your prarabdha karma, you can change how you respond to it. Blavatsky emphasized that your reactions to karmic experiences create new karma. A person who faces adversity with wisdom and compassion creates entirely different karmic consequences than someone who responds with bitterness and blame. The second type is sanchita karma, the vast storehouse of accumulated karma from all your past lives that hasn't yet manifested. Blavatsky taught that this is like a cosmic bank account containing the results of countless actions across multiple incarnations. Only a portion of this karma activates in each lifetime, ensuring that you're never overwhelmed beyond your capacity to grow. The third type is agami karma, the new karma you're creating right now through your thoughts, words, and actions in this present moment. This is where your true power lies. Blavatsky taught that every conscious choice you make either adds to your karmic burden or helps to resolve it. Even though you're experiencing the effects of past karma, you're simultaneously creating your future through your present choices. Understanding these 3 types helps explain why life seems unfair sometimes. Someone might appear to get away with harmful actions, but they're simply experiencing different types of karma than what they're currently creating. Blavatsky taught that karmic justice is perfect and inevitable, even when we can't see it operating. Chapter 3. Why your thoughts create karma. Before you act, one of Blavatsky's most revolutionary teachings was that karma begins at the level of thought, long before physical action occurs. She taught that thoughts are actual forces in the universe, creating vibrations that influence both your personal energy field and the collective mental atmosphere of humanity. In theosophical understanding, every thought you think contributes to what Blavatsky called the mental atmosphere surrounding you. Persistent patterns of thinking create mental habits that eventually manifest as circumstances in your life. If you constantly think thoughts of lack and limitation, you create a mental field that attracts experiences of scarcity. If you cultivate thoughts of abundance and gratitude, you create an entirely different karmic momentum. Blavatsky explained that thoughts are particularly powerful because they operate on the mental plane, which she taught was more fundamental than the physical world. According to her teachings, the physical universe is essentially crystallized thought energy. This means that by changing your thinking patterns, you're actually altering the blueprint from which your physical experiences are created. This understanding places enormous responsibility on your mental life. Blavatsky taught that you can't harbor resentment, jealousy, or hatred without creating karmic consequences, even if you never express these feelings outwardly. Similarly, thoughts of love, compassion, and service create positive karma, regardless of whether they lead to visible actions. The key insight here is that you're constantly creating karma through your internal dialogue and mental habits. Many people focus only on their external behavior while remaining unconscious of the karmic forces they're generating through their thinking patterns. Blavatsky taught that mastering your thoughts is the first and most important step in mastering your karma. She also explained that collective thought patterns create collective karma. When groups of people think similarly, they create shared mental fields that influence world events. This is why Blavatsky emphasized the importance of positive thinking, not just for personal benefit, but for the welfare of humanity as a whole. Chapter 4. The hidden connection between past lives and present challenges. Blavatsky's teachings on reincarnation provide crucial insight into why certain patterns seem to follow people throughout their lives, despite their best efforts to change them. She taught that the soul carries forward both abilities and limitations from previous incarnations, creating what appears to be inherited traits or natural talents and challenges. According to Blavatsky, many of the difficulties you face in this life are opportunities to balance karma created in previous incarnations. Someone who struggles with financial security might be experiencing the effects of past life misuse of wealth or resources. A person with relationship challenges might be working through karma created by past betrayals or emotional wounds they inflicted on others. However, Blavatsky was careful to emphasize that this understanding should never be used to blame or judge others. She taught that every soul takes on exactly what it needs for its evolution, and apparent disadvantages often represent the quickest path to spiritual growth. Someone born into poverty might be developing qualities of resilience and compassion that wouldn't develop under easier circumstances. The key insight is that your current challenges aren't punishments, they're educational opportunities. Blavatsky taught that the soul specifically chooses difficult experiences because they accelerate spiritual development. This perspective transforms suffering from meaningless hardship into meaningful growth opportunities. She also explained that past life talents and interests often carry forward into the present incarnation. Child prodigies, natural healers, and people with unusual abilities are often accessing skills developed over multiple lifetimes. Understanding this can help you recognize and develop your own carried forward abilities. Blavatsky taught that you can accelerate your karmic resolution by consciously working with these patterns. When you recognize a recurring challenge as karmic in nature, you can approach it with wisdom and acceptance rather than resistance and frustration. This attitude helps you extract the lesson more quickly and move beyond the pattern. Most importantly, she emphasized that knowledge of past lives should inspire compassion, not judgment. Everyone is working through their own karmic curriculum, and apparent inequalities in life, circumstances reflect different lessons rather than different worth. Chapter 5. How Karma Operates Through Relationships and Family. Blavatsky taught that relationships provide the primary arena where karma plays out in human life. She explained that we're born into specific families and encounter particular individuals throughout our lives because of karmic connections established in previous incarnations. This isn't coincidence. It's the precise working of karmic law bringing together souls who have unfinished business to resolve. According to theosophical teachings, family relationships often represent the strongest karmic bonds. Parents and children, siblings and spouses frequently have deep karmic history together. Sometimes these relationships provide opportunities to repay karmic debts through love and service. Other times, they create situations where past conflicts can be resolved through forgiveness and understanding. Blavatsky explained that difficult family relationships shouldn't be seen as punishments, but as accelerated learning opportunities. The people who challenge us most are often our greatest teachers, forcing us to develop patience, compassion, and wisdom. She taught that souls who love each other deeply sometimes agree to play difficult roles in each other's lives to promote mutual growth. This understanding transforms how you approach relationship conflicts. Instead of seeing problems as evidence that you're with the wrong person or in the wrong family, you can recognize them as karmic opportunities for growth. Blavatsky taught that running away from relationship challenges usually means you'll encounter the same lessons with different people until you learn what you're meant to learn. She also explained that group karma brings together souls who share collective lessons. Sometimes entire families or communities share karmic patterns that need to be resolved together. Understanding this helps explain why certain families experience recurring patterns of addiction, violence, or other challenges across generations. Blavatsky emphasized that while you can't choose your karmic relationships, you can choose how you respond to them. By approaching difficult relationships with wisdom and compassion, you accelerate the resolution of karmic patterns and create positive momentum for future incarnations. The goal isn't to eliminate challenging relationships, but to transform them through conscious spiritual work. This creates healing not just for you, but for everyone involved in the karmic pattern. Chapter 6. The Role of Suffering in Karmic Evolution. One of the most misunderstood aspects of karma is the role of suffering. Blavatsky taught that suffering isn't a punishment for wrongdoing, but an essential catalyst for spiritual evolution. She explained that consciousness naturally seeks comfort and pleasure, but these states don't typically promote growth. Suffering, uncomfortable as it is, forces consciousness to develop new capacities and deeper understanding. According to Blavatsky's teachings, there are two types of suffering: necessary and unnecessary. Necessary suffering comes from the natural friction of spiritual growth, the discomfort of releasing old patterns, the challenge of developing new qualities, the pain of recognizing your own limitations. This type of suffering is temporary and leads to genuine transformation. Unnecessary suffering comes from resistance to the lessons life is offering. When you fight against your karmic experiences instead of learning from them, you create additional suffering without gaining the benefits that would come from accepting and working with your circumstances. Blavatsky taught that most human suffering falls into this category. She explained that the soul actually chooses difficult experiences before incarnating because it recognizes their growth potential. From the soul's perspective, a challenging life that produces significant spiritual development is far more valuable than an easy life that leads to stagnation. This is why some of the most evolved souls choose the most difficult life circumstances. Understanding this transforms your relationship with suffering. Instead of seeing difficulties as evidence that something is wrong, you can recognize them as evidence that you're in a growth phase. Blavatsky taught that periods of intense challenge often precede major spiritual breakthroughs. She also emphasized that suffering develops crucial spiritual qualities that can't be developed any other way. Compassion, for example, typically emerges from personal experience of pain. Wisdom often comes from working through difficult decisions. Strength develops through overcoming obstacles. The key is to extract the maximum learning from each difficult experience so you don't need to repeat it. Blavatsky taught that when you fully learn a karmic lesson, the associated suffering naturally ends. Continued suffering usually indicates that the lesson hasn't been fully integrated. Chapter 7. Collective Karma and Humanity's Shared Destiny. Blavatsky's teachings extend karma beyond individual experience to explain collective human experiences and historical events. She taught that groups of people, families, communities, nations, and humanity as a whole create collective karma that manifests as shared experiences and challenges. According to Theosophical doctrine, collective karma operates through the same principles as individual karma, but on a larger scale. When groups of people engage in similar thoughts, emotions, and actions, they create collective mental and emotional fields that eventually manifest as shared circumstances. Wars, natural disasters, economic upheavals, and social movements all reflect collective karmic patterns. Blavatsky explained that individuals participating in collective events are there because of both personal and group karma. Someone caught in a natural disaster might be experiencing both individual karmic consequences and their participation in collective patterns. This helps explain why seemingly innocent people sometimes experience dramatic hardships. They're participating in larger karmic resolutions. She taught that understanding collective karma is crucial for anyone wanting to serve humanity effectively. Many social problems represent collective karmic patterns that require group effort to resolve. Individual charity and kindness, while valuable, aren't sufficient to address systemic issues rooted in collective karma. Blavatsky emphasized that advanced souls often incarnate specifically to help resolve collective karmic patterns. Great teachers, reformers, and leaders frequently take on the burden of group karma, using their personal influence to shift collective consciousness in more positive directions. She also taught that humanity as a whole is evolving through collective karmic experiences. The challenges facing the modern world, environmental destruction, social inequality, technological disruption, represent opportunities for collective growth. How humanity responds to these challenges creates karma that will influence future civilizations. Understanding collective karma helps explain why individual spiritual development isn't enough. Since we're all interconnected, your personal evolution contributes to collective evolution, but collective patterns also influence your individual experience. This is why Blavatsky emphasized service to humanity as essential for spiritual advancement. Chapter 8. The Law of Karma and Free Will. One of the most profound questions in understanding karma concerns the relationship between karmic law and free will. Blavatsky taught that these aren't opposing forces, but complementary aspects of consciousness evolution. While past karma creates the circumstances of your life, your free will determines how you respond to those circumstances, and these responses create your future karma. According to Blavatsky's teachings, you incarnate with certain fixed karmic parameters, your basic life circumstances, major relationships, and primary challenges. But within these parameters, you have complete freedom to choose your responses. She compared this to being dealt a hand of cards in a game. You can't control which cards you receive, but you can choose how to play them. This understanding resolves the apparent contradiction between cosmic justice and human responsibility. If everything were predetermined by past karma, moral growth would be impossible. If nothing were influenced by past actions, justice would be meaningless. Blavatsky taught that karma and free will work together to create a system that's both just and evolutionarily progressive. She explained that consciousness evolves precisely through the exercise of free will within karmic circumstances. Each choice you make either reinforces old patterns or creates new possibilities. Over time, conscious choices can completely transform your karmic trajectory, even if you began with challenging circumstances. Blavatsky also taught that free will expands as consciousness develops. Less evolved consciousness operates with more karmic constraints and fewer real choices. Highly developed consciousness has greater freedom because it has resolved more karmic limitations and developed greater wisdom in making choices. The key insight is that while you can't escape karma, you can transform it through conscious choice. Every moment presents opportunities to either perpetuate old patterns or create new ones. Understanding this empowers you to take responsibility for your spiritual evolution, while accepting your current circumstances as the perfect starting point for growth. Blavatsky emphasized that blaming past karma for current problems misses the point entirely. The goal isn't to avoid karmic consequences, but to learn from them and make choices that create better future karma. Chapter 9. How to work consciously with karmic law. Understanding karma intellectually is one thing. Working with it consciously to transform your life is another. Blavatsky provided practical guidance for those seeking to align their lives with karmic law, rather than unconsciously creating patterns that perpetuate suffering. The first principle is accepting full responsibility for your experiences without falling into self-blame. Blavatsky taught that everything in your life reflects karmic patterns you've created, but this should inspire empowerment, not guilt. Since you created these patterns, you have the power to transform them through conscious choice and spiritual development. She emphasized the importance of cultivating what she called spiritual discrimination, the ability to distinguish between the voice of wisdom and the voice of personality desires. Most people create negative karma by following impulses based on fear, anger, jealousy, or greed. Developing the ability to pause and choose responses based on wisdom rather than reactivity is fundamental to karmic transformation. Blavatsky taught that meditation and self-reflection are essential tools for karmic work. Regular introspection helps you recognize recurring patterns in your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Once you can see these patterns clearly, you can begin making different choices. She recommended daily examination of your motivations and reactions as a way of catching karmic creation in progress. Service to others was another key element in Blavatsky's approach to karmic transformation. She taught that selfless service automatically creates positive karma while simultaneously purifying negative patterns. When you focus on helping others rather than pursuing personal gain, you align yourself with cosmic law and accelerate your spiritual evolution. She also emphasized the power of forgiveness in karmic healing. Holding resentment toward others or yourself perpetuates negative karmic patterns and prevents resolution. Forgiveness doesn't mean condoning harmful behavior, but releasing the emotional charge that keeps you bound to negative patterns. Mental purification was central to Blavatsky's teaching. Since thoughts create karma before actions do, developing positive thinking habits is crucial. She recommended regular practice of positive mental exercises, including gratitude, compassion, and visualizing the highest good for all beings. Chapter 10. Signs that you're resolving karmic patterns. Blavatsky taught that as you work consciously with karma, certain signs indicate that you're successfully resolving old patterns and creating more positive momentum. Recognizing these signs helps maintain motivation and confirms that your spiritual efforts are bearing fruit. One of the clearest indicators is the natural fading of old emotional reactions. Situations that once triggered intense anger, fear, or sadness begin to feel neutral or even positive. This doesn't mean you become emotionally flat, but that you develop the ability to respond from wisdom rather than reactive patterns. Blavatsky taught that this emotional freedom is one of the first fruits of karmic resolution. Another sign is the appearance of new opportunities and relationships that support your growth. As you clear negative karmic patterns, space opens in your life for experiences that match your elevated consciousness. People who resonate with your new level of awareness begin appearing, while relationships based on old patterns naturally fade away. Blavatsky also taught that intuitive abilities often strengthen as karmic patterns resolve. When your energy isn't bound up in maintaining defensive patterns or processing old emotional charges, it becomes available for higher spiritual functions. Many people notice increased synchronicity, clearer inner guidance, and deeper spiritual experiences as they progress in their karmic work. Physical health improvements can also indicate karmic healing. While not all health challenges are karmic in origin, many persistent problems relate to unresolved emotional or spiritual patterns. As these patterns clear, the body often experiences natural healing and increased vitality. Perhaps most importantly, you begin experiencing what Blavatsky called causeless joy, a deep sense of contentment and peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. This inner stability indicates that you are connecting with your essential nature rather than being tossed around by karmic conditions. Dreams often provide confirmation of karmic progress. Blavatsky taught that the unconscious mind processes karmic material during sleep, and significant dreams can indicate major shifts in karmic patterns. Dreams of resolution, forgiveness, or spiritual experiences often accompany periods of karmic breakthrough. The ultimate sign of karmic progress is the development of genuine compassion for all beings, including those who have caused you pain. When you can see everyone as fellow souls working through their own karmic curriculum, you know you've achieved significant spiritual maturity. Chapter 11. Advanced Teachings on Karma and Spiritual Evolution. For those ready to delve deeper into karmic understanding, Blavatsky revealed advanced teachings that illuminate the cosmic scope of karmic law and its role in consciousness evolution. These teachings were traditionally reserved for serious students who had demonstrated readiness through years of study and practice. Blavatsky taught that karma operates on 7 different planes of existence simultaneously. Most people are only aware of physical and emotional karma, but advanced practitioners learn to work with mental, intuitive, and spiritual levels of karmic law. Each plane has its own timing and methods of resolution, which explains why some karmic patterns take multiple lifetimes to fully resolve. She explained that highly evolved souls sometimes take on additional karma voluntarily to accelerate their spiritual development or to serve humanity. This vicarious karma involves accepting challenging life circumstances, not because of past wrongdoing, but as a conscious choice to help others or advance collective evolution. Great teachers and spiritual leaders often exemplify this principle. Advanced karmic work involves understanding what Blavatsky called the law of sacrifice. This doesn't mean unnecessary suffering, but the willing surrender of lower desires and ego patterns to serve higher spiritual purposes. She taught that every stage of spiritual evolution requires sacrificing some aspect of personality identification to access greater spiritual freedom. Blavatsky also revealed that karma can be accelerated through intense spiritual practice. While normal karmic resolution might take many lifetimes, dedicated practitioners can sometimes resolve major patterns within a single incarnation through concentrated effort, disciplined practice, and conscious alignment with spiritual law. She taught that the ultimate goal of karmic evolution is not personal happiness, but the development of universal consciousness, the ability to identify with all life rather than just your individual personality. This shift in identity naturally resolves most karmic patterns because you're no longer operating from the separative consciousness that creates negative karma. Advanced students learn to work with group karma consciously, taking responsibility for collective patterns and using their individual development to influence larger social and evolutionary processes. This represents the transition from personal spiritual work to planetary service. The highest teaching Blavatsky offered was that karma itself eventually transcends, not through escape, but through complete understanding and integration. When consciousness fully embodies karmic law, it operates automatically from wisdom and compassion, creating only positive evolutionary momentum. Chapter 12. Living as a conscious agent of karmic law. The ultimate application of Blavatsky's teachings on karma is becoming a conscious agent of karmic law, someone who understands their role in the cosmic order and uses that understanding to serve the highest good. This represents the culmination of spiritual development and the foundation for truly effective service to humanity. Living as a conscious agent of karma begins with accepting complete responsibility for your role in the cosmic order. This means recognizing that every experience you've had and every person you've encountered reflects perfect karmic justice, even when the connections aren't immediately obvious. This acceptance isn't passive resignation, but active engagement with spiritual law. Blavatsky taught that conscious agents of karma develop what she called impersonal compassion, the ability to serve others without attachment to results or recognition. They understand that their role is to plant seeds of positive karma without needing to see the harvest. This detachment paradoxically makes their service more powerful because it's aligned with cosmic law rather than personal ego. Such individuals also develop karmic vision, the ability to see the deeper spiritual dynamics underlying surface events. They can recognize when someone's difficulties represent karmic opportunities for growth and respond with appropriate support, rather than misguided attempts to eliminate all challenges. They understand that sometimes the most loving response is to allow someone to face their karma directly. Living consciously with karmic law also means becoming a source of positive karmic influence for others. Through your example, energy, and conscious choices, you help create mental and emotional atmospheres that make it easier for others to make positive choices. Blavatsky taught that advanced souls serve primarily through their quality of being rather than their external actions. Perhaps most importantly, conscious agents of karma live with deep trust in the perfect operation of spiritual law. They don't need to control outcomes or force results because they understand that cosmic justice operates with mathematical precision. This trust allows them to remain peaceful and effective even in challenging circumstances. The journey of becoming a conscious agent of karma never ends. Each new level of understanding reveals deeper layers of cosmic law and greater opportunities for service. Blavatsky taught that this eternal progression of growth and service is the true purpose of consciousness evolution. When you fully embody these teachings, you become what she called a blessing to the world, someone whose very existence contributes to the positive evolution of consciousness on Earth. This is the highest achievement possible for a human being and the ultimate fulfillment of karmic law. What aspect of karma do you find most challenging to understand or apply in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this video helped clarify something about how karma works, don't forget to subscribe for more deep teachings on spiritual law and consciousness evolution.